Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I can't believe you messed this one up again.
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss Halloween Ends, which released in 2022 from writers Paul Brad Logan, Chris Bernier, Danny McBride, David Gordon Green, and directed by David Gordon Green. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, I'll try. I'm not even entirely sure who's the main character in this movie. The story follows 4 years after Halloween Kills. Michael Myers has somehow disappeared from the streets of Haddonfield, and Laurie and Allison are still living in Haddonfield, trying to do something with their lives. While they are there, they come across Corey Cunningham, played by Rohan Campbell, who, a year after Michael disappeared, was involved in a bit of an accident at a person's home and has been tormented by the town of Haddonfield all this time. As Corey and Allison start to build up a budding romantic relationship in a horror movie, Corey happens to meet the one person who's attempting to kill everybody in Haddonfield. But is Corey evil? Is Michael evil? Is Laurie evil? Is Allison evil? What is evil? I don't know. I'm good.
Well, it seems like the filmmakers were faced with an impossible dilemma at this point. You know, they're making the third movie in a new trilogy of Halloween movies, and like, wow, how well did the original Halloween 3 do, Ian?
Not very well.
Oh, it didn't do very well, did it? Oh,
No.
And why was that?
Because people didn't like the fact that Michael Myers wasn't in it.
Oh, so I know. Let's make a Halloween 3 with Michael Myers hardly in it. And
Yeah.
this time it'll work.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you know that the filmmakers are very much aware that this is the third movie. And they're very much aware that 40 years ago, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch came out. And this film tells you it knows that because instead of the normal font, we get the blue font.
Yeah,
exactly like Halloween 3. So they know.
They know.
They know where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And so did the audiences when they didn't turn up the following weekend when the film released, as it dropped 80% in intake because word of mouth got out there that this is not a Michael Myers slasher movie. This is a half-baked romance story that ends where the other two movies kind of indicated where it was going.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a bait and switch. And I can understand why audiences really, really did not gel with this film.
Man, I saw your picture after you came out of the cinema.
It was a look of confusion. Like, what was that?
I chose not to see this in the cinema. I had been hurt by Halloween Kills, and I didn't even see that in the cinema. That I was like, nope. I'm not putting any more money into this franchise. I will watch this movie when I have the chance. When I get it on DVD, I will analyze it. I will watch it for myself. I won't listen to the people on the internet. I won't take too much to heart from the Wikipedia, even though I'd read it and almost threw my phone through a wall. But I was like, nope, give it its chance. You know, you've been here before, Ian. Remember Halloween 3? Remember Halloween 4? Remember Halloween 5? Remember 6, 7, 8? Rob Zombies 1 and 2? Like
they were all pretty shitty, weren't they?
My God. You know, and I've got to say it now. Halloween 1 and 2, John Carpenter's Halloween 1 and 2 are so more superior than anything else that has come out. Even more so, I will go on a limb and say the original Halloween that David Gordon Green first released. You know, it's very good, but I much prefer John Carpenter's first two. That it kind of has a lot more realism in it than all the other movies, including the Squeaky Shoes Cops. But when I heard about Corey, I wanted to stab myself.
Why?
Because somebody had decided that instead of keeping the camera focus on Laurie and Michael and Allison, you know, and finishing off the story that we'd been following for 3 movies, you know, they opted to bring in a new character to try to make the audience question what is evil. Before you say anything, anybody coming to see a Halloween movie is not going to question evil. They want to watch Michael Myers kill some people and then get beaten at the end.
Well, generally speaking, yeah, that's, you know, if you're making a Halloween movie, that's the formula. That's your main ingredient.
Yeah.
At this point. But, and that's what I thought we were getting with the opening of the movie, because as a traditional horror movies go, you start with a kill, okay? And so I love the cinematography here. It's the same guy that did the previous movies. I thought Halloween Kills looked fantastic. My problems were with the writing, So I think this film again looks fantastic. I think it's a really good looking horror film. The lighting, the shadows, the camera movements. It's not as good as Dean Cundy's, from the original, but it emulates it fairly well.
Yeah, I was going to say that he's trying to copy it as best as he can.
Yeah, and so I think the director of photography did a fantastic job. I really do. And so, yeah, this opening for 10, 15 minute sequence in the house sets up Corey. He's the babysitter. We've got this kid who we get set up as, he's a bit of a bedwetter, doesn't, he's afraid of the dark. So, just make sure he goes to bed at a reasonable time. No TV, no sweets. Fine. But then we find out that he's a little shithead, and they're trying to watch the John Carpenter's The Thing, which was like, okay, it's a cool callback to the original movie where they're watching the original film, which John Carpenter would then remake. So it's like, yeah, that's cool, but it's just weird that John Carpenter's The Thing is now canon inside the Halloween universe.
Well, in fairness, Halloween 1 is canon in Halloween 3 in Season of the Witch.
But that's not a Michael Myers movie, so is that even in the timeline?
Mate,
would that really happen? And so, and then the kid goes missing. Something's been knocked over. The music kicks in, the suspense, and it does this very well. As he's wandering around the house, the knife that we saw earlier has gone missing. The door is open. He's wandering up the stairs. He can hear noises, and then he's locked in a room. Oh. And it's the little kid just playing a joker on him again, because we saw the little kid prank his mum earlier. And then he screams at the kid, he loses his temper, he loses his mind, he kicks the door, the parents come home, and oh no!
I'm gonna kill you, Jeremy!
What was that?
The kid has gone off the balcony and bounced off the floor. And it's funny. Now, it's funny because the kid is a little shithead. And so, and it's also funny because the camera angle, that is a comedy camera angle. Now, the first shot when he falls, granted, that's horrific. But when he is at the forefront of the camera and bounces right up and almost hits the lens and falls back down again, that's comedy angles. So I'm like, it's one of those movies where almost everybody that dies in this film is you kind of think they deserve it. And I know kids dying in movies is bad. Don't like it.
Right.
But when the kid's a little shit.
Now, I'm going to counter all of that, okay, and talk about how shit this fucking opening was, simply because the makers of the movie are just trying to shoehorn in this character right at the start, because obviously he's going to be the main character for most of this movie. So if we don't set him up now, we've fucking lost the.
Well, it sets him up to be a victim for Michael,
bullshit.
And that's when it switches.
Bullshit. I'm sorry, it's fucking bullshit. Now I understand what you're saying about the kid being a little shit, because obviously, yeah, to people who don't have children, spending time with children can be very traumatic for them because they have no control of them. They have no idea what they're going to do. Corey is an established babysitter. That's what the movie establishes right at the start, because the mum has called him and she's really happy that he's turned up because they use him a lot. They've used him as a babysitter many times. They've used him to cut their yard. So from what the movie is telling us, Corey is a well-established character in the town of Haddonfield who's gone around doing things. He's just a little bit old because he wants to go off to college, but he's still trying to make some money so that he can actually go to college. And he gets instructions from the mum to not let the kid eat any more candy and to not let him watch any more TV because she doesn't want him to have nightmares. Corey, in his complete fucking absurd stupidity, goes, I know, let's put on a completely inappropriate horror movie for a child and get him to sit there. And what did you actually expect? The kid to sit there and be respectful to you because you allowed him to watch this incredibly violent and fucking offensive movie? What are you, a fucking donut? No! Basically, the director of the movie went, oh, well, we need to kind of shoehorn in some kind of John Carpenter reference here so that the audience realize that they're watching a fucking Halloween movie and not just some fucking generic horror movie. So we'll put the Thing in there because that's what Laurie was watching in the first one. Remember? The Thing from Another World, the black and white movie? Oh, that'll be our callback to John Carpenter. That'll be the way we pay respect to him. Frankly, frankly, it was absurd. It was absurd because I have babysat children, not only my own, but other people's. And you never do anything outside the responsibilities of taking care of that child. Now, when Corey decides to go to the kitchen and cut himself a piece of cake, he leaves the knife there. He hears a bit of a noise and he's walking around, Jeremy! Like you said, Jeremy's already been a little bit of a douchebag to Corey. But instead of Corey actually being a responsible adult and maybe attempting to call the mum who has left her number for Corey to call if there's any problems. And Corey's already established he's not a stupid, reckless teen, because he looks at the beer in the fridge and goes, oh, I'm not going to drink this because I'm supposed to be responsible. I'll have some chocolate milk. But I won't actually pick up the phone and call anybody 1 year after Michael Myers has gone on a massive, huge killing spree. 1 year, 365 days. 365 days since Michael Myers killed a bunch of people in the goddamn town of Haddonfield, and half the residents have ended up being massacred, leaving a trauma stain in front of the whole entire town. People are still going to parties and having fun and just leaving their children with a random person who we don't know if they trust them or if they don't trust them, to the point that Jeremy starts running around being a little douche, making noises. But he makes it sound believable enough that Michael Myers is supposed to be getting them, because obviously Michael Myers is still missing at this point, so we need to set up the fear that Michael Myers could be anywhere around the corner. He's not, okay? We know he's not, because Corey has already been established as this douchebag person. I hate that part where he turns and looks at the camera and goes, well, it's Halloween.
We're gonna have some fun.
That sounds like a threat. It's Halloween. We're gonna have a good time tonight.
Turn it off! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
And he wanders up the stairs. Like the film language has already established this lobby. And I said this to Gary before we turned the camera on. I can forgive a horror movie for sticking something in front of me and going, it's going to turn up. I hate it when they make it so blatantly goddamn obvious, like when the mum looks up and she goes, Jeremy, where are you, in our giant huge mansion in the town of Haddonfield? Never seen a huge house like that ever. You never know where the fuck it is. It's just this massive house because they needed a fucking huge lobby. Jeremy's hiding upstairs screaming, Corey, come get me, Corey, come get me. And Corey comes walking all the way upstairs, still not calling anybody for help, because there might still be a mass murdering psychopath walking around the town of Haddonfield. He just keeps walking upstairs. Oh look, there's the knife. Why would Michael Myers drop the knife? Why? I like the fact that the little boy even says to Corey, you're the one who's going to die because you're the babysitter. Michael Myers doesn't kill kids. Yes, he did. He killed a kid in the last one. And he killed a kid in the first one with the dad. So you're wrong. But let's just ignore that part, script writing, right? Because I'm supposed to just switch my brain off and pretend I'm enjoying myself. Here I go. So he goes all the way up to the attic. And he walks into the attic and it's so dark, he doesn't even think to check behind the door. You know, is the stairs literally just go to the attic? Is that the only room up there? He doesn't think to actually check any of the corners? No, he blatantly just walks right into a darkened attic where there might be a psychopathic murderer in there, and Jeremy slams the door, locks him in there, laughs him, mocks him. And I understand that for the audience, they'll go, oh, that kid's a little shit, I hope he dies, because as I already said, you're going to a Halloween horror movie, you want to see people die. So every time somebody turns up and is a little bit douchey, you're like, I want to see him dead. And so the kid stands outside the door mocking fucking Corey. And Corey, like I said, stupid, doesn't think to actually just wait. He'd already established with some script writing downstairs that the parents were going to be 5 minutes away. They've already said they're going to be back by 9 o'clock. So I would have been looking at my watch going, I'm just going to wait here because you're in so much trouble, Jeremy, for locking an adult in the attic. No, not Corey. Not Corey. Corey decides, because he's not got fear of enclosed spaces or the dark or anything.
I don't know.
No, the movie doesn't establish that, but he acts like he does, because he just starts kicking the door from the inside. The mum and dad come back in their car. They walk in. They're like, where's Jeremy? Where's Corey? What's that noise? And Corey just happens to kick the door open into the kid's face. No warning, like I said, he's the person you've left responsible for your child. He doesn't actually say, Jeremy, you might want to move out of the way because I'm going to boot this door open and I'm going to stomp a mud hole in you and walk it dry. No, he kicks the door open. It hits Jeremy in the face. He goes over the balcony. The mum looks at the camera and goes, "What's that noise?" And he hits the floor and bounces. And she's like, "Oh my God, you killed my son!"
Cue titles! John Carpenter theme kicks in overdrive as it's been dialed up to 11 and we get these transforming pumpkins. It's like, oh, Halloween season's definitely begun now.
Sometimes I hate you.
What was that?
And then we get Laurie recounting what's happened over the last few years as she goes from this gun-toting vigilante who spent her entire life home improving, building traps, ready for Michael, even though he's been incarcerated in a maximum security asylum this whole time. Mm-hmm. But now that he's on the loose, I'm putting all my guns away, putting all my traps away.
Because she knew he was going to escape in the first one, didn't she? She knew he was going to be coming for her, but we already established he wasn't actually going for her.
It just feels so reversed. It feels like it's the wrong way around.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think that she'd, after 40 years,
44 years?
You'd think now, at that 40-year mark, you'd think she would try to move on, have a life. She's got a kid, she's got a grandchild, she'd try to get her life back together. And then Michael's out, then she goes into lockdown mode, ready for him. That would have been the way to do it. Instead of, it's the wrong way around, where the moment that she knows Michael's out there, and after Michael had killed her daughter, she's like, I'm moving on now. I'm going to write a book and get on with my life.
Yeah, I'm going to stay in Haddonfield.
It's like, why?
And write a book.
Like, it just lessens the impact of the ending of the last movie so much, where she's just like, she gets out of the hospital bed, she's got the knife, and she's going.
Remember, there were 2 endings.
Well, yeah.
So depending on which one we're following.
So it just feels like, I mean, we see some newspaper clippings. They burnt down the Michael Myers house. It's been demolished. Michael can't go home anymore because we found out that was all he wanted in the last 2 movies was to go home. And then they burnt it down. So I'm like, oh, you're going to piss him off. Oh, well, we might find out whether they do piss him off or not, like 40 minutes from now. Because now we follow Laurie and Allison and their relationship and how it's changed, and find out that Allison is, being victimized at work.
Has it changed? Like, she still cares for Allison.
Yeah.
And she's still taking care of Allison. And Allison's now a nurse at the hospital, but being put down by her doctor boss because he wants to sleep with her friend Deb, who's one of the most annoying characters ever constructed. Apologies to the actress for what she was trying to do with the character, but yeah, you failed massively. But it's like that part where she's like, here's your parents' wedding rings, you can hang them around your neck. I'm like, trauma. So you've just given her a reminder that her parents are dead, killed by a mass murderer who happens to live in this town that you are still living in. Yeah. Why? Why? I meant to look it up, but maybe you can help me because we've been through this a lot, right? So we've been through this a lot. Who is Laurie's partner for her daughter?
It was not mentioned, not involved.
Not mentioned once, right? Not in all 3 movies.
I did struggle to realize, like, how did she have a family while she was going through mental trauma, house lockdown, nobody trusts her, likes her. I don't know where the family came from.
Right, exactly. I sat in this movie and it dawned on me. I went, hang on a minute. I've gone through 3 of these movies. You've not mentioned the dad once. I don't even think Laurie even wears a wedding ring. Like, you see a close-up of her hand with a ring on her right hand. But, like, when you're married, you have it on your other hand. So I'm like, who? Who is this man that was supposedly... helped her. Like, maybe it was artificial insemination. Maybe she was so traumatic, she was like, I'll get a kid. I can't handle cats or dogs. I'll just get a kid, and then I can train the kid to kill Michael if Michael ever decides to come back. And the whole Allison relationship, like, I liked Andi Matichak acting in the first one. She was great. She was the new Laurie being chased. But she wasn't really being chased. It just happened that her path just kept coinciding with Michael's. And then in the second one, she was really underused, but she was stuck with more guns. Here's more guns because it's COVID, so we have to use more guns and violence and stuff. And now this one, it's like she's a hollow shell of her former self. Like, the actress was just there reading her lines and doing the best with the scenes that she had, but she knew that she wasn't the main character anymore. The spotlight had been moved on to Corey and Laurie. And that was our focus. And I'm
No,
like,
I felt more like the focus was on her and Corey.
only because Corey was there.
Well, yeah.
Corey shouldn't be in it. Corey should not be in it at all. At all. If you were trying to establish him, you should have established him in the first movie.
Yeah, I agree.
So that we followed his character
So it
development.
actually felt like a trilogy. I honestly believe that if the Corey storyline in her romance, like remove her shitty boyfriend character and had these two characters move through the trilogy, this would have felt really cohesive and it wouldn't have felt disjointed. And we're here for Laurie and her family versus Michael. Like, this is what the advertising promised. This is the final ever final Halloween movie. So this is what you would do. But they go, no, let's remake Christine.
Yeah, you pointed this out.
Let's have Corey Cunningham, shares the name.
Yep.
Let's put him in the black rimmed glasses. Same.
Yep.
Let's dress him the same. Let's put him to work in the same kind of place.
Yep.
Let's have him be bullied. Let's have his glasses get broken.
His overbearing mother.
The overbearing mother. It's literally the Arnie character. And we know what happens to Arnie. He ends up touching evil and becoming evil himself. And it's a transformation. And well, this film is kind of a bit of a metaphor for transformation, and we get that right at the beginning when the kid is wearing a werewolf costume. There's a scene later on between Corey and Allison where she's holding her hands out and they go up to the moon, which is a symbol of transformation. In the film they talk about infection versus inherent evil and all of that stuff. And so we're going to watch Corey go through a transformation. But to begin with, they're going to make him sympathetic, just like in Christine, where you care about this nerdy kid who is bullied and who doesn't fight back. And the extent of his anger is squeezing the glass in his hand.
But the difference between this established character and Artie in Christine is that Artie was manipulated by Christine.
Yeah.
He fell in love with her, but Christine's evil. Christine is evil. She enveloped him, and so he couldn't give up on her even if he tried because she had her claws in him. Michael Myers doesn't have that. Corey isn't that. The movie is not telling us exactly what it wants to tell us. It gives us this question like, oh, are you born evil? Or do you develop evil over time? Well, you develop evil over time, don't you? Establishing the environment that you live in and the world that you were brought up in. No baby actually climbs out of the womb with a knife in its hand and a gun wanting to kill because it doesn't understand.
But that is Michael Myers, though.
Michael Myers is a fictional character that they are trying to put into a real world situation, and that's why it doesn't work. Because they've attempted to do it many times
He is born evil.
Was he? He only killed his sister when he got to 8.
Yeah. He wasn't able to achieve any evil goals pre-8.
But I remember if we go back to like Halloween Resurrection, the opening to Halloween Resurrection is actually really quite cool because you actually see before he kills his sister that Michael was gradually growing evil. Same in Rob Zombies. Or the kid in Rob Zombies.
No, that was nurture.
Halloween.
That was the family
unit. Product of his environment. Exactly what I said. Corey,
so there's two differences. There's two main differences.
Corey isn't that. He's already showed that he's absolutely inept in situations with people, and he honestly just keeps getting more and more inept as the movie goes on until he decides that now he just wants to kill people. Because he goes to the store, doesn't he? He goes to the store and the store manager just goes, "You gonna buy something?" And I'm like, Jesus, Corey, just move away. His stepdad is really caring. His stepdad is trying to do his best by him, which I really kind of liked the stepdad character because
he is one of the best characters in the film.
Yeah,
because he's the only one who doesn't do anything horrible to anybody.
No, he doesn't. He's really just there, and I'm like, how long has he lived with Corey for? How long is like if you're a stepdad and he's been with Corey, say, a couple of years, they should have at least built up a budding relationship that Corey should have at least felt something for somebody to not push him that way. But the movie is constantly trying to push us that, Corey, is he evil? Is he going to become evil? Oh, well, let's just keep pushing him. Let's take him to the store and let's get 4 little shitty school kids to bully him, so Laurie has to save him. He should have nutted one of those kids.
No, because we're setting him up right now to be the victim. Yeah.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
We're pushing him to make his evil come out because everybody who he interacts with is shitty to him, right?
Yeah.
So it pushes him and pushes him. If he was going to be the innocent victim in it all, he shouldn't have been so douchey. And what I mean by douchey is that when Laurie picks him up at this point because he cuts his hand on some glass and she goes, I know somebody who can help with that, who needs to get out of the house. Because we'd already established that Alison had had some crappy relationship with some shitty
cop between movies.
Cop, yeah. Officer Doug, who is just a sleazy, the movie once again is like, look, he's a bad guy, so we're wanting to make you feel for Corey. And I'm like, I honestly don't. I don't want to, because, everything is forcing me to feel something for him, and I have to have it happen naturally. And that's maybe my problem. It's not happening naturally. She takes him to Alison. They share this little look, and it's like, oh my God, I'm in love with you. Yes, I'm in love with you too. We have so much in common. Yes.
They knock all the surgical equipment everywhere in a flummox because he says, yeah, she's cute, isn't she?
Yeah.
It's like, oh no.
Cute, isn't she?
What are you doing? But that's it. And so now it's establishing that Alison and Corey are going to have this relationship. And she says to him, look, I was going to go to this fancy dress party. Do you want to come to this fancy dress party? I wasn't going to go on my own. Yeah, okay then. So he goes. The two of them go to this fancy dress party. She's dressed as a cat. He's dressed as a scarecrow. And they're having a good time up until the point where Corey goes to the bar. Now, Corey already has said that he doesn't like going out in places because the town of Haddonfield hates him. So why he would go to a public bar with his new girlfriend just to think that anything else is different, I don't know. Oh wait, movie language. We just need to put him in here because we're trying to establish him again as the victim.
Well, it's because he can wear a mask, he can blend in, he can hide in the crowd.
Yeah, the same kind of looking mask that they had in Halloween 1 or Halloween Rob Zombie, just to make him look, because he's a scarecrow, isn't he? Yeah, you got no brain, that's what it is, Corey. And then he walks up to the bar to get a drink while Alison is having a dance or she's chatting to somebody, and it just so happens that Jeremy's mum's there. The mum from the beginning, she's so heartbroken after the death of her son that it seems like all she's done for the last 4 years is wallow in self-pity and drink herself into shame. And now she sees the killer, where it's already been established that it was an accident. I understand that she would have had hatred towards Corey for killing her son Jeremy. But, like I said, movie language again, it's like we need Corey to be the innocent victim in this. So she is going to have a verbal confrontation with him in the middle of the bar and give him grief for going out and having a good time. Oh, I'm sorry, what are you doing? You're standing in the bar drinking yourself into a stupor.
It doesn't look like a good time though.
No, it doesn't. And it's not even like the bar, the girl behind the bar, what's her name? From Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
She doesn't attempt to even stop this woman from saying all this stuff. She doesn't even attempt to pre-warn Alison or Corey. Well, maybe because she didn't see the mask, but she should have known that Alison was wearing the cat mask, right? Because they'd already had that little conversation in the home with Laurie about meeting Corey. And it's when they go outside, Corey's just like, I hate you, Alison. Oh my God, I hate you so much for bringing me to this place. Why did you think I was going to be your project? I'm like, that's nothing. She's the innocent in all of this. You're hating on her for her trying to be nice to you and take you somewhere nice.
I felt really bad for her here because she's really trying to get him out of this rut. She's sympathetic towards him. And so by definition, she's kind of leading the audience to feel the same way as her, which it for me, it bonded me to these two characters. Like, I kind of feel for both of them. They're both having a real rough time of it. So I kind of want them to help each other get out of it. I'm like, wait a minute. This is a Halloween movie, isn't it? I keep forgetting that.
Every person who's attempting to help Corey, he keeps shunning.
Well, yeah.
And I understand
because he doesn't feel like he deserves to have their help because he still feels guilty over what he did.
Then that's selfish. That's selfish on his part that after 4 years, he's unwilling on letting it go.
Yeah.
Like I said,
he's struggling.
He's struggling because that's how the movie wrote him.
Well, it's also because he gets reminded of it by the entire town every day.
The actor is not doing anything emotionally well in his acting to make me feel for his character anymore. In fact, it's doing the opposite. The more he acts in a negative, douchey way, the more I'm like, he's going to turn into a killer. The movie language is telling me that the more he is being pushed, the more he's going to tap into the evil inside him. But as the movie's already tried to say, it's like, was the evil in him already, or has it grown? Well, we know that there's two sides in people, isn't there? There's the black side and the white side, the yin and yang, the two wolves, whatever you want to say. So he is feeding his own one. He is taking all of the anger and all of the hatred that the people of Haddonfield supposedly have for him after using him as a scapegoat because Michael killed all those people in Halloween Kills, that he's allowing that to build up. And it gets to this bridge situation, doesn't it?
The bullies catch up with him again.
The bullies catch up to him because he stabbed their tyre, you know, because Laurie gave him the knife. Oh, you do that. And so that makes his situation even worse. He gets to this bridge and the kids are like, oh yeah, we're going to fight you and stuff like that. And he does, I'll give the actor credit, he does try to do the walk away scenario, but it's not working, okay? There's only so far a person can be pushed. And if I'd been in Corey's situation at that point, I'd have just beaten the crap out of those two guys and let the girl, because even one of the girls is like, leave him alone.
Yeah.
So she even wants her friends to stop. And I'm like, well, I care more for her now. Because Corey's not doing anything. He gets pushed over, they step on his glasses, and he gets pushed off the bridge. And he hits the floor, and they're all like, oh, you killed him. And the bully's just like, oh, I didn't kill him. He fell, you know, and that's my story. And so you're like, once again, film language, oh, I hate these characters. I hope they die at some point in the movie.
Yep.
We're now coming up to 40 minutes into the movie at this point, right? 40 minutes, and the only time we've ever seen Michael Myers is in flashbacks from Halloween 1, 1978, and Halloween Kills. So, I at this point, I'm like, I honestly wanted to give up the first time I wanted to watch it, but I forced myself through it, and so this time for the review, I knew what was coming, and I'm ready to go, but, like, if you've got anything to say, I'd say it now before I go.
Well, I mean, it's trigger warning. Trigger warning.
Trigger warning.
Michael Myers is in the sewer, and he's been there since the events of the previous film. And we find out when he reaches out and grabs Corey, who he had already pulled through the sewer and then left him there, and then grabs him. And then they have a staring contest. But the film flashes all of this imagery of the events at the beginning of the movie. Like, if we only saw it, like, half an hour ago. I didn't forget movie, like that's what the whole film's been about.
Yeah.
But now it seems like Michael now is aware because he can sense the evil that may or may not be in Corey. Maybe. I don't know. I'm grasping here because I don't really know what's going on.
No.
But Corey manages to free himself from Michael and get out of the sewer. And the next morning, the homeless man's like, How did you get out of the sewer? How did he let you How did he let you live? And I'm like, wait a minute. So the homeless man knows that Michael Myers is in there and that Michael Myers has, been wanted for like several years now because
yeah.
he's an escaped lunatic who killed a bunch of people. And oh, you've just killed the homeless man. Oh, so Corey's body count continues here. That wasn't really that much self-defense. He probably could have pushed him up, but then again, we just saw him get bullied by kids half his size.
That's it. He pulled a knife on those kids as well, and I think it's the same knife that he kills the homeless man with.
Right, yeah. So I think it's the one that Laurie gave him.
There was Laurie gave him, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So, and so now things start to get darker.
4 fucking years. 4 years Michael Myers has sat in a fucking sewer.
Well,
the police officers that came after the massacre of Halloween Kills, I'm sure somebody would have at least called another department in another town to send more cops. Or the FBI might have come down. There might have been a SWAT team somewhere. They would have done an investigation. They would have scoured that entire town to find him. Are you telling me that Michael Myers just made his way into the sewer? Like, I get he stalks people. I get he can be invisible. But I also remember that in the last movie, 2 cops chased him into the house and walked him out in front of Dr. Loomis. So he's not that really hard to find. But he disappeared with all of his injuries. After all of these, he got stabbed in the back, he got shot, he got...
Maybe that's why he's taken so long to regenerate this time around, because he kind of abused his power.
But we were told he was transcending, Gary. Killing all of those people at the end of Halloween Kills would have made him something more than evil. It would have made him something which all of us have inside. What was it that Laurie said? Like evil, you know, it grows and it festers and it transcends and it turns you into something else. And that is completely lost in this movie. Because like we said, he literally grabs Corey, but he's so weak. So why did you drag him in the pipe in the first place? What, were you going to eat him? How have you established yourself with food for the last 4 years? Have you eaten rats, dogs, other homeless people? Nobody's actually mentioned about it. There's that huge sign next to the car as well when they're on the bridge about some girl that's missing since last Halloween. The cops are so inept. Every murder comes out, people go, is that Michael Myers? No, he doesn't use guns. He doesn't hang people from the side of their house. But we won't properly investigate any of the murders or properly because, well, we're dumb, you know? And so it's like, so hold on a minute. So, all right, let's say on a whim, I go with the fact that Michael Myers can rejuvenate. We are ignoring the other sequels, if you remember.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So we're not.
He's still a 65-year-old man.
So he didn't rejuvenate from the fire in Halloween 2.
No.
He didn't survive the dynamite and get taken care of by that guy in the bottom of the well a year after the other Halloween movie.
He didn't grow his fingers back.
He didn't grow his fingers back. He didn't switch masks with somebody else and get that person's head cut off so he could run away. He honestly just walked from the group of people that he killed into the sewer and stayed there until Corey turned up. And now I get to the fucking psychic bit, because I didn't even get to that bit yet. What the fuck is that shit? How can he sense that? How can he know that Corey's going through evil? I almost wanted to say, because this is the second time I've watched the movie. The first time I just thought it was psychic powers. The second time I was like, well, he's choking Corey. So Corey could be flashbacking his life. Could be. But why that bit? Why not show Michael how overbearing his mother is, or how horrible the teens are, or how terrible his school life was, or maybe when his dad died, how long he was on alone with his mum before his stepdad come along? Why doesn't fucking Michael sense any of that shit?
It probably does. But, you know, they don't have the footage of that, so...
Film language, yeah. And so instead he sees the flashback of the kid. It's almost like Michael would have gone, that was good.
Yeah.
You know?
Go and do some more.
Yeah. And Corey leaves. And he drives over to Laurie's house, you know, on his new bike that his stepdad's given him. And he stands outside like Michael. I mean, it's quite a cool established shot with Jamie Lee Curtis 44 years later.
Yeah, I thought that was
standing
cool.
by the window looking out.
It was the thing that went, ooh, Halloween movie. I remember that.
But this is the part where Laurie starts to go, oh, I think there's evil in Corey.
I saw it in his eyes. It was like looking into Michael's eyes. And then she ends up in the bar talking to, I think she's talking to Will Patton, Frank, who's, you know, had nothing to do since the first movie either.
Oh, they meet up in the store, don't they?
That's
for
right.
a meet, and he's learning Japanese.
Yeah, and she ends up talking to the dad of Jeremy from the beginning of the movie, and he's just like, yeah, you know, I saw Corey on the side of the road, and I always knew he was a good kid. He was a sweet kid, good-mannered, good intentions.
Yeah,
and
we trusted him with our son.
I was like, you know what, I've moved on. My wife hasn't, but I need to tell Corey that I forgive him. Like, I don't blame him. But then I saw his eyes and I fucking got out of there.
Right! So all of these people who have spent a lot of their time going, Corey's a good kid, it was an accident, it was a problem. Take one look at him after he saw Michael Myers and goes, well, no, he's evil. But I'm not going to warn anybody. I'm not going to call the police. I'm not going to pull him over to the side. Because at the same time...
It happens so quickly. Like, a transition like that needs room to breathe. It needs to feel natural, like the progression. Like Arnie's slow descent into,
If in Halloween Kills, Corey had been killing with Michael along the way, that would have fully established it.
Or if it had been revealed that he had already started then, but we weren't aware of it.
We weren't aware,
until Michael was out of action for so long. Then Corey was feeding him bodies or energy or evilness to build him back up again. Because
the
when
fear of Haddonfield,
because he does end up leading Doug, the pest that's been harassing Allison since she dumped him. Corey ends up leading Doug down into that sewer. He ends up like running off into the sewer laughing. And Doug's like, oh, I'm so angry and I'm so going to chase you down that sewer. Doesn't
Beat you
matter
with
where
my
you
torch.
are. Yeah. And then, well, Michael gets hold of him like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Finally, like, we're going to get to see some Michael slasher action. And Michael gets manhandled by him. So Corey has to step in and help. And they both have to... Well, Corey has to pin down the officer so that Michael can slash his throat and then start ritually stabbing him. And then after a few stabs, it's like Michael goes, oh, I remember this. This feels good. Oh, I'm gonna square up and then I'm gonna stab him some more. Like, yes, I'm back. It's time for Halloween. Oh wait, it's October 31st. Let's go.
Such crap, because that's like an hour. It's like an hour into this movie, and the movie's only an hour and 50 minutes. So now you're going to shoehorn in as much as you can of this story into the last 50 minutes to try and at least get some, comeuppance for the audience to walk out of the cinema going, yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Yes, because we've got the horrible doctor and his sleazy nurse now. I mean, they're both sleazy characters.
No, I'm not letting you jump too far ahead, man, because you're establishing that this movie is actually good just by the kills. No.
What?
No. Let's look at some of the bad script writing that they good. So Laurie comes out of the store at one point as well after speaking to Deputy Hawkins, and she's confronted by a lady who's the sister of the wife, the coloured wife from Halloween Kills, who was stabbed in the neck and had to watch her husband get used like a knife pincushion by Michael Myers. And she's stuck in a wheelchair. She's paralysed, and the sister just confronts Laurie. And it's once again, like I said, film script language, David Gordon Green trying to make us feel something for Laurie, that it's not Laurie's fault. And it's like, I know this, Mr. Green. I've watched these movies for these years. I know Laurie didn't actually do anything, but this woman's like, you're the one who taunted Michael. You made him do this to my sister. I'm like, no, she didn't. Because there's no relation. If they were going with the sister storyline of Laurie being Michael's sister, I'd get that. I'd understand that. They'd be able to say, you're his family member and you're the reason why keeps coming back. You need to get out of here. You're the one killing us all. That would have been great. But no, we already established that Michael wasn't after her in the first one.
Yeah, he was going home.
And he wasn't even after her in the second one.
I have no problem with this scene because people do behave that way. Even the dad that she spoke to in the bar was just like, you know what? He was angry because other people were angry for him and took his anger away and used it for themselves.
No,
and this scene just repeats that sentiment again, where she's angry at Laurie because she thinks, the whole town thinks she's responsible for Michael being the way he is. They needed somebody to blame. And we've seen that throughout these three movies.
They didn't. That was the directors trying to establish something that the people of Haddonfield are trying to blame these people for Michael. But I'm pretty sure in Halloween Kills they brought it on themselves.
Yes, they did.
Right. So these people that are blaming them are just stupid. Mm-hmm. That's.
Well, they're stupid because they don't know any better.
You say. No, they don't, because they're two-dimensional characters. They're not real people.
It's just here to throw more trauma on Laurie, because she has a similar scene when she goes to see Corey's mother. And Corey's mother's like, well, I don't want to be talking to you. You're responsible for all the evil in town anyway. And like Laurie's like, I can't be dealing with this. And she leaves.
Exactly.
Every time. She can't face it. She's not. She's trying to move on.
And that's not the Laurie that we know.
It's not. No. It's this movie's Laurie.
This is this movie's Laurie. Laurie would have been confrontational to the mother and going, well, maybe you're the reason why Corey is actually acting up a little bit. Maybe I should tell you that this is why maybe Michael Myers is the way that he is, that his mum and dad were too overbearing for him. Maybe Michael Myers' mum kissed him fully on the lips because she didn't want him to move out, like they're doing with Corey's mum being overbearing. But same with Corey. Corey spends all this time with Allison, and I know you said you liked it, and I suppose it's okay that they're having this budding relationship, love romance, which is just going to end up in blood and fire, because that's the way the movie's telling me. But he sits there and talks to her and listens to Allison's, soul being unburdened onto him about her, her mum and dad and the killings and the way she feels about living with Laurie and still staying in Haddonfield. And he doesn't once think to go, oh yeah, by the way, I'm hanging out with the guy that killed your parents. No. So how can I honestly care for Corey? I haven't cared for him leading up to this point, and I'm certainly not going to care for him anymore, because he is literally just constructing these scenarios of him just being a douche. He even sleeps with Allison.
Yeah.
He sleeps with Allison. He goes back, like after he killed Doug, he goes back, he sees Allison, And she takes him upstairs, and Laurie's outside. And Laurie happens to see it.
At this point, he's already told Alison, like, hey, Alison, I killed someone. She's like, okay.
Right! Right! And we get that shot of Michael just happening to stand outside the house, seeing Laurie at the car.
Yeah.
And he just walks off. He goes back to the sewer. He doesn't wander around and go on a killing spree or anything. He just goes back to the sewer.
Do we know that was Michael? Oh, yeah, no, it definitely was. Yeah, it definitely was, yeah.
Who else is it going to be, dude? Standing down a tree looking at Laurie Strode in the dark. He goes back and oh, this is where it gets real bad, peeps. This is where it gets real fucking bad. Because Michael heads all the way back to the sewers after this. We don't see this. We just assume he does because we don't see him now for a bit of a movie. And Corey's realised to himself that he wants to become the new Michael Myers. So he heads down to the sewers. And he gets the mask, doesn't he? He's been kicked out by his mum because his mum doesn't want him at the house anymore if he's not going to live with her, and so she kisses him on the lips. And he'd already showed Alison that he could break into the mansion. So he goes to the mansion and lies pretty much on the blood spot of where the kid died.
Yeah, he likes to sleep there now. Yeah, cozy.
And Laurie, being the superior ninja that she is, she manages to sneak into the same house, sit in a chair, prime it up against the wall, and then just keep leaning on it until it makes this irritating knocking noise that wakes him up.
Well, I mean, Laurie's not actually there. She's all in his head. She's not actually there. He wakes up and he hears her in his head talking about the nature of evil, and he's questioning himself, like, what's going on?
Where did you get that from? Where did you get the fact that she's not real?
Well, the fact that she disappears when he gets up and he looks around and she's gone. She wasn't actually there at all. It's all in his head. No. Yeah. Yes, Ian. Yeah.
No, I'm not buying that.
You're telling me that she's going to ninja in and out of the house?
Man, I'll fucking take that. I'll take that more over than her just being a figment of Corey's imagination because of the way that Jamie Lee Curtis puts her Laurie across to him and basically tells him to stay away from Alison.
Yeah,
why would he in his own head tell himself to stay away from Alison?
Because that's exactly what he's afraid he's going to hurt her. He doesn't want to involve her in his evil that's becoming, but at the same time he's using Alison as the motivation to do the evil stuff because she wants to burn the stuff down.
Well, yeah, he keeps telling Alison that we should leave, and she's like, yeah, let's burn it all down.
And we also need more of Laurie in the movie, so whether she's there as a phantom of his imagination or not, we get more Laurie.
It's such crap because she's like, you need to stay away, and he's like, you invited me in. I'm like, yeah, Laurie. You brought Corey to Alison.
Yeah. So again, it's all your fault. So it is all your fault.
So it is all your fault of how this relationship goes. But Corey, decides that, yeah, like you said, he's going to become the new Michael. He's going to,
Well, he's now going to go. He faces Michael in the sewer, and I'm like, so this is the same Corey that got beaten up by two guys half his size, and now he's able to manhandle Michael Myers, who is also slightly regenerated from where he was at the beginning of this film.
Yeah.
But no, Corey's still able to beat him down, grab his mask, and leave.
I'm just a man, and I always mask. What could you know?
Look how they massacred my boy.
Sorry, Michael. It's not your day, is it?
No. And so he takes the mask and he puts it on, and then he decides to go on a bit of a killing spree.
Well, he ends up marking up the kid's car with Psycho, luring them to the junkyard. We see the pickup truck in the background. Like, oh, that's gonna come into effect in a minute.
Yeah.
And we also cut away to the stepdad watching, I think it's Hard Target.
Yeah,
the Van Damme movie.
Yeah.
With all of his cats. And I'm like, I like this guy even more. It's great. But then we cut to the kids out there, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna get you! We're gonna get you! We're gonna tie a chain around his bike, and we're gonna drag the bike until there's nothing left." He's like, "Hey, start the car! Start the car!"
Yeah.
Oh, you're dead! No! Oh no, he's dead!
Everyone, he's killed a kid. he's killed a kid. Yeah.
And then the pickup truck starts. The kids scatter. One of them ends up trying to climb the fence. One goes over.
Yeah.
Pickup truck hits the girl.
Yeah.
She's still alive under there. The other girl tries to help her. She gets smacked in the head. We see her body.
Yeah.
Then the other guy comes over and he gets a blowtorch to the face.
Blowtorch to the face.
Then the girl gets stomped on and then ridden over as he drives out. oh my god movie. It's
That's
like
it.
an hour and a half in and I'm getting some brutal killings.
Yeah, I mean, the stepdad had come outside to try to help, and he got shot in the head.
Skip it. I wanted to pretend he didn't die.
Because he gave the rifle to the bully, and the bully goes to shoot Michael or Corey, because he doesn't know, and he just happens to hit the stepdad at the same time.
He's the only character up until this point that I felt sorry that's
Yeah,
died, and he
yeah.
got killed by a shitty kid.
He got killed
It's
by
like,
a
God damn
shitty
it.
kid. I mean, I want to apologise because obviously I interrupted you when we were talking about the nurse and the doctor death.
Yeah.
How great was that?
Well, it was iconic in that Michael got to impale the lady through the wall with his knife like he did in the original movie. So, I got a slice of Michael Myers doing his thing.
It's such crap because they've been building up this nurse Debbie as being Alison's friend, who was always talking crap to her.
I wouldn't say friend.
No, because even Corey says I wouldn't get treated like that, and I'm like, you're one to talk, Corey, Jesus. And it's the same with the doctor as well. Like Alison's been trying to get this really supervisor position or something. She's been working real hard, but because the doctor's been secretly sleeping with Deb, she gets the position instead of position. No pun
All the
intended.
positions.
All the positions.
Or actually, none of them this night.
Yeah, and I mean, I forget what the doctor's last name is. I think it's like Waits or something. But the movie doesn't even really establish him as a character or his first name or stuff. So when Deb and the doctor go back to his house to have sex or whatever, or celebrate the promotion, he gets killed off screen, or he gets pulled off screen. And Deb is in the house because she hears a noise, and she just starts calling to him.
Dr. Mathis? Dr. Mathis!
But she doesn't call him by his first name. She just starts calling him by Dr. whatever it is.
Dr. Mathis? Dr. Mathis?
I'm like, and she does it 3 times. Like, at least by the 3rd time, you'd have called him by his first name.
I know, maybe it's all part of their role play.
No, it's all part of the fucking script writing. The director and the script writer went, oh, nobody's going to really care about the doctor's first name because we're going to kill him off. So but it's just so unnatural. It's so unnatural. If these two had been having a relationship for an incredibly long time, she'd have called him by his first name. If this is the first time that they would have ever had sex, the first time she'd have gone back to his house, she wouldn't have just kept calling him doctor. It just seems so absurd to the point where she walks outside. I mean, it was kind of cool where she goes to look. She sees the evidence of the destruction. You can see some kind of movement in the background. Mm-hmm. And you're like, what the hell is that? And when she flicks on the light, she turns and it's Corey in his scarecrow mask constantly stabbing the doctor in the neck with the bottle opener. And you're like, oh, well, he's dead. And she goes inside and Corey, the inept, stupid idiot, runs up and gets his hand caught in the door and acts like he's hurt himself. Because obviously he's not Michael Myers. Michael Myers would have just ripped that goddamn door off the patio.
In his heyday.
He would have
Or a movie ago.
He would have walked through that glass like he was unstoppable. But no, Corey just stands outside looking like a douche. Deb gets her phone out. Like, she has her phone. It's not hard to call 911, honestly. And most mobile phones nowadays can do it without being unlocked. So she'd have been on the phone to the police in seconds. And instead, she kind of just stands there looking at Corey like, what's he doing? And Michael walks in from behind her. Grabs her, picks her up, stabs her in the stomach, and leaves her hanging on the wall. And so this is kind of like them two bonding. Obviously, like I said, this is before he's taken the mask off of Michael. Yeah. But he's seeing himself in Michael and thinking, "Ooh, I want to do that." And it's like, no, Corey, you're never, ever, ever, ever going to be able to do all this. Because, like I said, the movie is just confusing me so much every time he goes back to Allison. Either have him with her as the love interest and have Michael as the evil, or have Corey as the evil and no relationship.
Honestly, like, it kind of makes me laugh. It made me laugh throughout the entire movie. First time watching this, where, we've seen him riding around on his motorbike with Allison on his back. And after he's done that killing with the doctor and the nurse, and you see him on the motorbike and he goes and picks up Allison, you can't help but imagine just Michael Myers sitting on Corey's back of his bike, just holding on to him lovingly as they drive around Haddonfield, going on a murder spree. Because he goes to the
murder spree.
Well, I mean, the next victim, the next two
Corey?
victims, Corey goes to the radio station.
Yeah.
And we see the receptionist in there in the background getting murdered.
Yeah.
As Willie continues to play his music.
Yeah.
And of course, Willie had also said some nasty things to Corey earlier in the film.
Well, Corey was trespassing.
True, yeah. And, I mean, the whole radio tower was kind of a symbol. It was always there in the other movies. And so he goes in there and he smacks his face into the turntable a couple of times. And then in a gory fashion, as his jaw's ripped aside, he cuts his tongue, drops his head, and the tongue falls on the record. And it causes the track to loop or play badly across the radio, which then we see Alison turning the radio off. It's just like it's gross. And it's funny, and it kind of took me out of the moment for a moment there. But
it's not what I came to a Halloween movie for, because this part of the movie, it's also trying to tell me that Michael Myers isn't the main guy. The mask,
he's not. No,
the mask and the boiler suit is the killer, and anybody can put it on and be the shape.
Yeah.
And be evil and go on a killing spree. And I'm like, well, you literally just destroyed a 40-year franchise right there.
Well, this is not the first movie to do it, though. There's been 9 other movies that have done that to this franchise, and yet it still keeps going.
No, the other 9 movies, it was Michael Myers all the way through. There has not been one movie in the whole Halloween series involving Michael Myers where
I'm just saying the mythology has not been integral at all anyway.
Yeah. No, and
so
I get what you mean. And what I mean with this one is that David Gordon Green wanted to establish Corey as the new evil, and to have that evil is always inside people. Mm-hmm. But in normal society, that really doesn't happen. People don't have to don a mask and a boiler suit to be evil. They literally just are. So Corey could have just been evil. Like we said, if he's the innocent victim in all of this, he could have utilized all of the shit that the town has dropped on him as the reason and the motive of why he went on it. I mean, Jesus Christ, the 2 guys from Scream were just going to use movies as their motive. It's not that hard. But instead, frigging Corey's like, no, I want to be the new Michael Myers. But you're not. You are not, because after Corey has gone on a bit of a killing spree, he decides that now is the time to go and take out Laurie, because he like we said, we don't know if he was talking to Laurie or he wasn't. Or if it was in his head. I believe he was, but that's just bad movie making there. If neither of us can come to terms of what it is. He goes and he goes to see her, and he why killing Laurie now is for what reason? If Alison catches
because
you, you're dead.
to free Alison from her.
But Alison isn't held captive by her. We've already established that Alison stays in Haddonfield because of Laurie, because the 2 of them.
But she also said, no, burn it all down, So
she said
Corey's taking this to the extreme.
But not, yeah. He's taking
it also follows Michael Myers' mantra of wanting to kill Laurie Strode. So
yes, but we'd already and
it's also Halloween ends, so we gotta get to the end at some point.
That's true. We're on October 31st. But that's the thing. The movie had been advertised to us, and what we learned from post-production or pre-production was that there was going to be this massive confrontation between Michael and Laurie. I mean, Jesus Christ, a lot of us believed it was going to be at the beginning of the movie because that's how the end of the last movie was. And I would have taken that. I would have taken Laurie and Michael fighting, her injuring him, and him falling into the sewers. I would have gone with that, and then maybe meeting up with Corey and doing all that shit. I don't know. I would have had to have written a bigger script.
Like the way this movie does end with the metal mangler, I would have had that in the first 15 minutes. Like literally have Michael go in there in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then tell the story, because that's what this film wants to do.
That's what this movie's want to do. If you're trying to establish that evil is in everybody and anybody can wear the mask and anybody could have boiler suit, you should have just killed Michael off at the beginning.
Yeah.
But you I see you, David Gordon Green, watching this video. You knew that if the fucking audience had seen that at the beginning, they would have just walked out. So you held a carrot in front of their faces like a goddamn donkey, hoping that they would find something in the movie to go, oh, well, Halloween Ends was great. And the movie goes on for an hour and 50 minutes. I mean, this is what, an hour and 30, 25 minutes, I suppose, hour, 25 minutes that he gets to Laurie's house. And Laurie, she's had her upset argument with Alison. She's hearing about these horrible things that are just happening around the town. So she's opting that because it's all of her fault, because that's how the movie's tried to make her feel like this, that she's going to commit suicide. So she calls the cops and she tells them that there's been a suicide at this address, and she puts all her stuff down and she steps out of screen, and we're kind of seeing like a first person view coming up the stairs. You know, obviously it's not Michael, so it's not brilliant. And you hear the gunshot and you hear this thing splat against the wall, which is blatantly not blood or brains.
It's pumpkin juice.
It's pumpkin juice. And the door pushes open and Laurie's just like, you didn't think I'd really commit suicide, do you?
Oh, got him.
She shoots Corey twice and he falls over the balcony. Karma, bitch.
Yep.
And he's lying on the floor. And why does she fire 2 shots into the wall?
To empty the gun of bullets.
Why? She's a survivor of goddamn horror movies. He's carrying the goddamn mask of the killer who's been killing most of the people in your town. You need all the goddamn ammo you need. Don't be wasting shots. But Corey's like, if I can't have her, nobody will. And he's meaning Alison, because that's what he'd said to Laurie. But, if I can't have her, nobody will. And he stabs himself in the throat. Why?
Yeah. Because then,
how is that going to stop Alison from having any more relationships?
Well, it's not. But what it is going to do is absolutely divide Alison and Laurie forever, because he knows Alison's coming up the driveway because he hears the rattling car, so he knows she's about to come in.
Oh God, that
and
fucking
so then
muffler!
He stabs himself, and this is the daft part. Is that Laurie goes, oh, I'm going to pull the knife out as Alison's coming in the doorway, and like, oh no, now I look like I just killed your boyfriend, which I did, but he killed himself, but I did shoot him.
Who just happened to be wearing the same outfit as Michael Myers and carrying the mask.
But she's
of
not
Michael
seeing
Myers.
any of that. She's just seeing
Blinded by love.
my grandma killed my boyfriend because she doesn't want me to leave town with him, so I'm angry, so now I'm going to leave town without him.
Well, what's worse? What's worse? And this movie's just been going as it's been going on. She's there and she's like, oh my God, he's dead. Doesn't think to check for a pulse.
Well, yeah, it's a horror movie, so you need to
She's
double,
a
triple
nurse.
tap. Yeah.
She's a nurse. She doesn't think she could have done anything. She could have been calling the ambulance, but she immediately, emotionally written. I mean, by this third act of the movie, I felt like the people had just given up.
With the blood pool there, with the injuries, like he should be dead.
Right, he should be. He fucking should be. And Alison goes, oh, I'm so upset. I'm going to get out of my car and drive away because you've killed or possibly seriously injured my boyfriend. And Michael, who obviously had sat up after Corey had taken his mask, decides that he's going to come all the way because, you know, has he followed Corey to all the other deaths?
Probably. He's probably just hunting for his mask.
Does he just, does he home in on the mask? Like, oh, it's at Laurie's, I'll just go there.
He always seems to know where it is. He always seems to reclaim it.
Yeah, is it the mask that wants to kill Laurie? Like, is the mask evil?
Yeah, I think so.
Halloween 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Michael enters into the home and Laurie notices this. She notices the door open, so she's like, Michael's in the house.
Yeah.
There's a breeze. Michael's in the house. Somebody left the window open. Michael's in the house. Somebody left the fridge open. Michael's in the house. Somebody left the lights on. Michael's in the house. Somebody left the fucking toilet seat up. Guess who's in the house? And they have this confrontation, and I suppose in its defense, it's what we've kind of always wanted to see ever since we watched 78. You know, the fight between Michael and Laurie again.
We got it 2 movies ago.
Yeah.
And then the second one set up that we would have a fight again.
Yeah,
and now we have the fight.
I know, man.
And it takes place yet again in a kitchen.
I know.
It's not really much range. It's not really the epic confrontation that you would expect between these 2 icons of horror, where they throw themselves around a kitchen a little bit. They try to put Laurie's hands down the draining thing.
It did honestly feel like 2 old people fighting.
It did, yeah.
No,
they're both in their late 60s.
No offense to James, Jude, Courtney, or Jamie Lee Curtis. It's just like the two of you are in your 60s trying to have a fight sequence.
So they did a good enough job, I suppose. And again, it gets quite comical where she stabs him and impales him into the table and she drops the fridge on his leg.
Yeah.
And then she's like, yeah, I got you now. All the blood's seeping everywhere. She slices his throat.
And he's still going.
Yeah, he pulls his hand free of the knife and grabs her and is choking her out. And I'm like, and she's like, do it. And I'm like, oh, you know what? It would be great if Michael and Laurie just died together. Like, just let them go out together. Like, just end it. Like, neither of them can come back now. But Allison comes back because she got the phone call from Detective Frank, or ex-Detective Frank.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we got a suicide phone call. I'm like, did Laurie actually need to make an actual suicide call, considering she wasn't going to commit suicide? She just needed to pretend to make a suicide call so that the person in the house would think that she had, but it doesn't really matter. The information gets to Allison.
Movie language.
She comes home and she sees her grandmother being attacked by Michael, and she's like, no, not today, and she breaks Michael's arm.
That's it. He pulls his hand out, doesn't he, from the blade? I mean, the fact that when he'd taken the mask from Corey, Corey had still been alive. And so Michael had to break his neck.
Yeah, that's right. So Michael gets his third kill of the movie by killing Corey.
And that's what I mean. Allison, the nurse, that we'd established throughout the movie, didn't bother to check to see if his pulse was low or anything before walking out.
I know, maybe he did die, but the presence of Michael brought him back, just like how Michael keeps coming back.
Slap you like a...
But they do. These killers, they take wounds that would kill them.
Not Corey.
But he's got Michael powers. He said he spent so much time with him.
Michael Powers? Are you seriously
he
fucking
sits up
feeding
just
me
like
that
him.
shit? Are you fucking...
The movie's feeding us that. Like, I'm not. I'm just saying what I see.
Yeah,
what's happened.
And what I see is David Gordon Green just trying to make things work and knowing that in reality none of these things will work. Because, yeah, they slice Michael's throat and he's kind of still alive. So then when Hawkins turns up with the cops, she's like, I've sliced his wrist, he's bled out, he's properly dead. And
is
you're
he
like,
though?
Is he? Yeah, that's it. They're all kind of with the same look. Is he? What do we do? And the cop from Halloween Kills with the cowboy hat, he turns up and he's just like,
Is he the town mayor, isn't he, I think?
Is he the town mayor?
I think
now?
so,
Is he?
yeah.
Well, the fucking hat.
Yeah.
Where is he? Texas? It's Illinois, for fuck's sake. But they decide now.
Let's get the whole town of Haddonfield together in a microsecond. Everybody got the
convoy.
Got the group text message like, we finally got Michael. He's dead. We're going to dispose of the body. Yeah. You know, it doesn't matter that this is completely illegal. It doesn't matter all these police would lose their jobs if they did something like this.
Doesn't matter.
But it's the whole Nightmare on Elm Street thing. You know, the parents rallying together to just get rid of the killer.
If we kill Michael now, it will completely dispense all of the evil and the curse of Michael on the town of Haddonfield because, like Gary said, Michael powers. And so that's what they do. They tie him to the top of their car and they drive incredibly slowly through the town.
It's like a funeral procession.
It's like a funeral procession. It drags on for a little while. And then they get to the well-established meat mangler.
I do want to say there is one shot that I also really quite liked, and it was the way it held on Laurie holding Michael's hand as he bled out and died. I was just like, it was kind of nice that even though the two of them have been through all these movies, well, like 3 of them, but all these 13 movies to get to this point, I was like, that kind of had some impact. I felt that.
It felt more that was for Jamie Lee Curtis than it was for the movie.
Yeah.
It was like Jamie Lee Curtis was like, I'm not coming back.
So let's end it for reals. And yeah, they lower him up into the giant metal grinder and in he goes. And in about 4 seconds, he's no more.
Yeah.
I honestly wanted to see the remains pile.
I did.
I needed
like
to see it.
Like a finger still moving.
Yeah, just like Christine. The fender just twitching. But no, we cut back. Laurie's back at home. Then she finishes her book and she's like, evil, you know, you can kill it, but somehow it will always change shape. It's like,
thanks for that, Laurie.
And it cuts, you know, again, I like it. Again, it's very similar to the original Carpenter movie where it then cuts to just loads of empty bedroom, living room, house shots.
Yeah.
And it just goes, the house is empty now. It's quiet. But Michael's mask is right there. End the movie.
Well, that's it. She'd already had that thing as well where she was going to go to Japan with Hawkins, wasn't she? To see the cherry blossom.
Because Alison's now actually left home and she's going to go and have this late romance with Frank.
Yeah.
So, positive outcome?
The movie's over.
Yes, that's what I mean. Well, Iain, you may have gone on a little bit. Would you like to tell us any favourite scenes you might have?
I have one actual real good favourite sequence in this movie, and it's so absurd and stupid, and it's so Jamie Lee Curtis more than Laurie Strode, and so badly written or constructed. I don't know, but it's where they're all in the house. It's Lindsay, it's Alison, and it's Laurie, and they're talking about facing grief and dealing with trauma and all that. And the camera just immediately locks onto Jamie Lee Curtis, and she puts up both of her fingers, and she talks about getting grief's face and rubbing your tits in it. I fucking love Jamie Lee Curtis, so that was great. But it wasn't Laurie.
No, it really wasn't, was it? It was so out of character.
It was so out of character. It was so out of place for a Halloween movie. I mean, the movie had already ruined it, like close-up shots with that stupid look on Corey's face at the beginning. So every time the camera focused properly on an actor looking into the camera at me, I was like, don't look at me. Don't look at me, please. I hate you. I mean, thinking back, there were a couple of visuals that looked quite cool. Like you said, the hand holding bit was quite cool because you get kind of the reflection in the blood.
That's right, yeah.
There's another reflective shot as well where you can kind of see Michael in some glass and mirrors. I like that. I like the part where she pulled out the kitchen knife and kind of showed it to his face, and you kind of see Michael's reflection in the knife. Those things were cool. The rest of the movie can go suck a dick. Okay?
Yeah. Like I said, I think the film visually is very arresting. It's very interesting. I like the shadows. I like the colours. I like the angles. Technically, I think the film's very well put together. But in terms of actual scenes, I really, really like the opening. Because the first time you go into this film, you're expecting this to be the setup for Michael killing somebody. And so then the whole switcheroo that we watched Corey accidentally kill this kid. I was like, okay, this is different. This is not expecting this. And so, but what you're then also not expecting is the film to go off in that direction when it's the third movie in a trilogy, which the previous two movies have flowed over the course of 2 days.
Yeah.
This film then jumps years, flashbacks, and it feels disjointed and unconnected to it. But the opening scene, without the context of the rest of the movie, I think is very well done. It has the suspense, has the music, and it plays on your expectations. So it was good. But then the rest of the film doesn't feel like it was... Yeah. Yeah, you just mentioned it. It's your one favorite scene. It's very memorable because it's so weird. It's like you just got it's her speech about just letting go, because clearly she has now, but Alison yet hasn't. So she's trying to get her to break free of her, of things that are holding her back, she was for 40 years.
Yeah,
which is just weird, like we said, because it's the wrong way around.
You need to find someone that can let go. That makes you want to rip off your shirt and show grief your fucking tits and say, you know what? Let's go.
Yeah, I think my favourite kill in the film is the most simple one, really, and it's Nurse Deb being impaled on the wall by Michael. All the other killings are brutal and extreme and kind of what you'd expect from a modern slasher horror movie, blow torches to the face and foot stomps and, tongues being severed. But Michael, the simplicity of the knife, stab up against the wall. Love that. It's great.
Yeah.
And of course we have to, it's kind of what we turned up to this movie for, was to see Laurie and Michael have the final confrontation.
Yeah.
Everything else around the movie was whatever it wanted to be. It was tried to be something different. It's not what we came for, but we got to see them have their final confrontation. It was a bit shit.
Yeah.
Of all the places, it was just in Laurie's kitchen that they had the final confrontation. Just this is the epic 13th movie. It's all built to this. It was a bit lame.
It would have been better if Laurie had gone to the construction yard to confront maybe Corey and realised that he was Michael and then fought him beat him down. Michael turns up, takes the mask back. They fight, and then she pushes him into the meat mangler.
Yeah, she could push Michael into the mangler, and I still think Corey should have got away. Evil got away. Something, you know.
She pushes him into the meat mangler,
you know,
and he grabs.
He's just like, maybe while they're burying Michael, they come back to the house, and like Corey's body's gone. You know, it's just not there anymore. Like, just like the boogeyman, you know, it's just gone. You know, that would have been epic, but nah, it's fine. It ends. It ends. It actually ends.
It ends.
But according to David Gordon Green and all the writers for this film, they went, yeah, this categorically is the very last Halloween movie that we're making at Blumhouse Studios. The rights, of course, which they had ownership for a limited time, have gone back to the previous rights owner, who also said, yeah, I want to make 22 of these movies before I'm done, so just give it a minute and I'll find somebody else to reboot it or tell another Halloween story. So don't worry, no one's ever really gone.
Yeah, it can get worse. I can establish it can get worse.
Well, Iain, do you recommend Halloween Ends?
Fuck no! You can take this motherfucking movie and shove it up your motherfucking ass. I am a Michael Myers fan. I have enjoyed Halloween since I first watched John Carpenter's Halloween the very first time, and I will stand by and die on the fucking hill that Halloween 2 is a better sequel than any of the fucking sequels that we've got ever since Halloween. I know people like Halloween 2018 and that's for a new audience, but you just like with Halloween 1 in 1978, you just end there. Michael is in the basement on fire. You don't know if he's alive or dead. For me, Michael Myers died in the hospital of Haddonfield 1981, and every now and again, if I'm feeling like if I'm feeling loose and free and I've had a couple of beers or I just want to, go mad, I might watch some cops with squeaky shoes walk around. I might watch a dad get his head smashed onto a bulb. I might watch Laurie get dropped from a fucking second-story window after kissing Michael on the lips because they're brother and sister. I may even push myself to watch Roddy McDowall be a really fucking half-baked goddamn Dr. Loomis. But I cannot justify this movie, and I haven't even bought this on DVD. I'm in two minds. It's like, do I buy this one and then buy all the others just because I'm an absolute imbecile, or do I take my copy of Halloween Kills and just snap it in half and pretend it never happened? That's how this trilogy makes me feel, because it just burned me out of hate. Hate for people trying to take something so easy. Michael Myers was such an easily established character. John Carpenter did such a great job. And like Gary said, with the visuals in this film, anybody can take a camera and a really nice street and make it look haunting. But what you cannot make is people feel natural when the script writing isn't natural. You cannot make me feel for somebody when you are absolutely writing them as a douchebag to me, because you want him to be a douchebag because you're setting him up as the new killer, while the old killer that I really came to see is sat in a sewer for 4 years doing fuck all. If you're a fan of this movie, I'm not going to hold it up against you, but if you're going to come at me wagging your finger telling me where you think the movie does right, I will beat you down with the logic that the movie decided to leave at the door when they decided to finish this trilogy. David Gordon Green, I don't believe, should ever direct another horror movie. He could produce and put money towards it, but he should never have the reins for it, because he has an idea and then he goes, oh, I've got all these other great things that are going to make people want more, and people shouldn't have more. Michael Myers is dead.
No, I'm not going to recommend Halloween Ends, as this was a huge disappointment in ending this new trilogy of films. The problem with this entry is the story. As it's a sequel to the previous events, you would expect certain character arcs and a thrilling conclusion, but it's very disjointed here, with the main plot centering on a new character who doesn't even survive to the final act of this film. It was an interesting story. It was well performed, with some great production value and some great cinematography in parts. But this was not the way to tell a final chapter of a 40-year-long running story. Michael Myers is an icon within the horror genre, and this film treated him with a cameo appearance, who had all the power removed so that Corey could take center stage in a tale about the nature of pure evil. Hardcore Halloween fans are clearly going to hate this entry. The final entry for now, and for valid reasons, as this was very underwhelming. It was frustrating and rage-inducing. Yet,
man.
I appreciate the filmmakers trying something different. It's not just another tired retread of the previous Halloween movies. And if this wasn't Halloween, it may have been okay. Music by John and Cody Carpenter along with Daniel Davis was impactful, tense, and it helped create the atmosphere, and is probably the only aspect of the film that deserves repeat playing. Evil meets its end. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.